Okay, so continuing our prep for rebuilding an engine. I've had this soaking in this oil gas solution to soften up these gaskets. So now I've got to take off these studs off of the intake to get them ready for my rebuild, which my crankshaft will be here today. And I should be able to get this engine built today, absolutely, because everything else is ready to go. Got to have your cases clean. I will, obviously it's still dirty from soaking. I'll clean it off. All the surfaces I'll hit with acetone to make sure they're absolutely clean. I'll blow them off with air, hit all my gasket surfaces with acetone. And then what do you use to put your cases together? Bond. This is a two-stroke engine motorcycles. Actually, Honda. I was reading on some forums, and the Honda techs. The Honda has their own, but most of the techs prefer this one. This Bond over whatever Honda has that they make. They've got a similar product. My last build, I didn't know about the Bond, and I just used red RTV, and it worked great. But heard a lot of good stuff about using this. It's kind of, I think it's gray, and it is only for, you know, your case, putting your cases together. I guess you could use it here on the intake as well, but you're not going to use it. You're not going to use it on these other gaskets for your head. No, 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 no. Do not put anything on there. But mainly just for the case. And of course, when you're doing your case, you're gonna have to run a bead, very, very thin. Okay. What I do when I squeeze it out, then I take my finger and I smear it so that I have a fine, even coat over all of my surfaces. And that does not include this. You don't mess with this in here. That's where your bearings sit and your oil passages for your lube for your engine. No sealant goes in any of these U-shaped pieces. The only exception being where the seal is going to, where your seal, let's see, this is the double seal. So it goes here like this, and the seal fits around the crankshaft, and the seal lip rides in that hole. So you'll want to take some sealant and go around the edges of your seal and put a little bit of extra right here on either side where your seal, where the cases are going to mate. That's the only exception to putting some on here, is to add some to the outside of your seal. I use marine RTV.
Marine grease, not
Rub me
RTV.
a ring of it around the inside to get lubrication for the crankshaft where it's going to be spinning in there. And also, if this one has a cup, you'll notice, see how much grease is in there from the original. I fill this when I'll go in with the new seal. I guess I'll show that on the video, but this will be all new grease. You can see how dried up kind of this grease is that's in here. But you fill this pocket with grease when you put your two together for your, I guess that's the rear. Yeah, that's the rear main. And the rear main is a double, just like that. They squeeze together and it seals off that. And so it basically gives a grease in between the two, and it sits in place on your crankshaft. But yeah, seal it around there. And I'm going to come out with all these, clean this up real good, wipe it down with acetone. UPS will be here this afternoon with the crankshaft, and I will build this engine. Okay, all of the studs have been removed. Just makes it easier to get the gaskets off if you soak them and remove the studs. You can wire wheel brush it very easily with your drill, clean that whole surface up. You can do it leaving the studs on, but at the edge of the studs, you're going to have these little bits and pieces that are hard to get off, and you're going to have to scrape and use a wire hand brush and all that. It's just, to me, just take them off and be done with it. Remembering you don't really tighten these down horribly. They're not in there that hard. All of them came out very easily. So your studs are out, and if you'll notice, your gaskets, see how they've got this thick piece up here that covers basically nothing? I guess that's the upside of the gasket. And down here, they're cut out to fit. If that makes any difference at all, they will fit backwards. But this is a factory engine that's never been touched. And you can see that part of the gasket goes up. Once again, you'll want to check your reeds, looking through, and you're looking for light gaps where the reeds are flat against the rubber pieces. These look good. I just need to clean them a little bit. But these reeds look good, and of course they do have an up, because you can install the reeds backwards. Don't want to do that. What else? That's it. Just gonna get it cleaned up and ready. Once again, don't ship these engines with studs in them as cores. If you send yours off with your studs and you order an engine, you're going to get it back and it's not going to have any studs in it. You're going to wish you'd kept your studs, and guess what? They're not going to send them back to you. You're going to then have to go out and find replacement studs. So remember that if you're ever buying a engine from somewhere, they're not going to come with these studs, okay? They're not going to come with any of this stuff on them. None of your manifolds are going to come with it. It should have the head bolted on. So that shouldn't be an issue with the ones pointing out of the top, because this head should be bolted on when you buy one. But all these other exhaust studs that stick out here, and these intake studs that stick out here, you've got to pull those off of your old engine. And these intake studs are just like the exhaust. They've got the flat end and then the conical end. Well, I can't see it because that one's got the nut on it. Let's see the flat end, and then how that end is kind of pointing out and tapered. There you go. And once again, this is a newer JH1100, because it only has one vacuum line coming out of the block. The older ones had two. There was another one right here. So if you end up sending off your core and you get it back, you know, they sent you an older, you can plug off a vacuum line. You can plug that off and still run the old 2-line one with for a 1-line one. That'll work just fine, but you're going to have to plug this line. And the carburetors, you'll run into that with the carburetors sometimes. If you get an older, you want to switch to put a CDK 2 carburetor on a CDCV style, which is what this has, the constant velocity. Then you've got the issue with the carburetor is going to have 2 vacuum ports, and you're going to have to run a T off of, and split a secondary vacuum line off of one line to accommodate that carburetor and make it work right. So there's ways to work around some of this stuff, but now I'm going to get my gaskets off and get this clean. Thanks for watching Shade Tree Jet Ski. See you in the next one.